Welcome in, welcome in. It's great to see you guys. So wonderful to see you. I'm just reading all your comments as you come in. Look at that. How many of you are here new for the first time? Yay! I think maybe you can see me now. I've been seeing you for the past 3 or 4 minutes, but sometimes it's a delayed start for me. So I get to read your comments sometimes before I get to see you. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Crystal Masters. It is our first Crystal Masters of 2021. Can you believe it? Welcome. For quite a few of you, it's your first class. I want to tell you that's exciting. I'm thrilled that you're here. And I want to tell you that this year is very special to me because in Crystal Masters and in Soul Shift, we're going to be talking about this subject called alchemy. And alchemy is the process of stripping and cleansing and clearing everything away from the core, truest essence of who you are, and then sorting through all that stuff. Like, do I like that old story? Do I like that old belief system? Is that still relevant for me? And then it's putting everything back together, but in a new way. And that's what the whole focus of this year is about, both in Soul Shift and in Crystal Masters. To a lesser extent here, because we're really focused on the crystal side of things. Soul Shift is where we're taking up the broader alchemy curriculum and really doing a lot of the deeper spiritual transformation. Here, what we're doing and picking up in Crystal Masters, and I cannot be any more excited than I am, is how do we align with the energy of our crystals as allies and partners in this work that we're doing together. And so tonight, our single tool for this class, this first class, is your bronzite star. And if you don't have a bronzite star, if you weren't able to get the tools or you didn't want to get the tools, that's okay. I think you can still really enjoy the experience. I'm going to be teaching you a lot tonight about sacred geometry and numerology. So this tool is what we're going to work with in our meditation at the end of the teaching for tonight. And my big task for tonight is to try and keep this class to 2 hours. If you're new to working with me, I'm an overachiever. So I tend to want to try to bake in the sun, the moon, and the stars into every class that I teach. And sometimes it's just so much. So I could literally talk to you for probably 8 or 10 hours about what I want to teach you about tonight. So I'm going to try my absolute best to give you a really nice deep dive without overwhelming you, to give you a nice guided meditation tonight so that you have something that you can turn around and use in your own crystal healing practice. And my assumption, my expectation, I'm so happy that you're here and I'm so happy that you're excited. My assumption and my expectation is that you're here to help and heal yourself, but that you might also at some point take what I teach you and share it with other people. And you'll do that in your unique way. You know, you'll take either the work with the shape, or you'll take the numerology, or you'll take all of it and package it up into something that's unique and special to you, and share it and spread the energy. So, and one of the tasks that's before me as the teacher of Crystal Masters, and I'm sure you can imagine this is true, there's so much we can talk about in the field of crystal healing. And a lot of my students have been with me. This is the 2nd year. So I'm not repeating what we did last year. You can always go back and do the first year if you want to. You can buy all of those pre-recorded classes, or, you know, they were live once, but they're recorded now. So I don't repeat my curriculum because I have a lot of students who've been with me. This is my 10th year teaching online classes in magic and gems and aromatherapy and everything else that I teach. So because a lot of my students have been with me for a long time, I don't repeat myself. So it's year 2 with all new ideas. Thank you for loving my shirt. I got it on Etsy. And you do not need to take notes. By the way, everybody's tools have shipped. So, and they shipped quite a while ago. So that's the good news. If you haven't received yours yet, it's on its way to you. Of course, USPS and UPS are having their challenges right now. So we appreciate your patience. So My task is to bring you 12 months of something unique and new that we haven't talked about before, and also to deepen your practice, but also to keep it accessible enough so that people who are new don't feel left out. And I like to think I'm good at that. I will really try to make this class interesting, not only to you if you're brand new to the world of crystal healing, so that you don't feel like, whoa, what's going on here? I'm gonna meet you where you are. But those of you who've been here for a long time, I'm hoping there's still something tonight that's new for you too. And oh my goodness, the possible rabbit holes tonight, you guys. So I'm going to give you what I call rabbit hole alerts. Susan Owens, I see you. Sometimes there's no tracking number even when something has been shipped by us. So I need to ask for your patience, because not having a tracking number doesn't mean it hasn't been shipped. It just means that their system is delayed in processing that information. So please bear with us. I really appreciate your patience. I think everybody's, we haven't been through a global pandemic before, and I don't think anybody was really ready for what that means. But what I will say is the only thing that you will, specifically to this tool tonight is the meditation. And so what you might want to do is when you get your tool, do the meditation a second time. You know what I mean? Stay with me for the class. You're going to learn a lot. I'm going to give you rabbit hole alerts, because I can't take you down all the rabbit holes tonight. We don't have time. Again, this could turn into a 15-hour class if I took you down every rabbit hole. So I might do a little like rabbit hole alert and then tell you if you want to do more research on that, you can definitely go down the twists and turns on your own, because there's a lot more. I'm taking you kind of on the surface of some really big subjects tonight. So, and I will tell you, you can always ask questions in the feed. I may not be able to get to all of them while I'm live, but I really try to do a good job. I've been teaching online for a long time. Before I started Sage Goddess, I was a executive coach and consultant to companies. And I did all my work remotely by Zoom and online instruction. And then when I was a professor, which was 15 years before that, I always taught online classes as well as hybrid experience classroom classes as well as online curriculum. So I love teaching online. I try to balance looking here in the camera with checking the feed. If I miss a question, the nice thing is Alexis is here with me. So she might be able to pick up and answer some of your questions too. And Alexis will be taking notes so that you don't have to worry about taking notes. You can just sit back and relax and enjoy the experience, and then she will post those notes for you. That's right. I'm so glad you're here. So welcome, welcome. Thank you for that, Karen. It's teaching online. I have so much compassion for my kids' teachers this year, because it's not easy, right? To take something that, would be really fun to do in person. Like, this would be such a different class if it was in person. But I do like to think that I can give you really the core of what I give you in person. I can still give that to you online. So, and I love teaching online. It's one of my big passions. So we're thankful for you. Okay, so yeah, so you'll see Alexis in the feed. She shows up as Sage Goddess, so that's like the bold gold little box. And so she's going to be uploading your notes for tonight, either Friday or Monday. She tries to do it by the end of the week. So, well, thank you for that. I've been teaching since I was 23. It was when I first went into my first classroom and gave people grades, and I'm turning 48 this year. So I've been teaching for more than half of my life, and I really am passionate about it. If my mom was here, she would tell you that when I was little, I would line up my stuffed animals and teach them things. And I think if you're going to name your daughter after the goddess of wisdom, then when she becomes a teacher, you can't be too surprised. Learning has always been my passion, and I'm really happy that you're here. Okay, so tonight, in addition to teaching you about this beauty cutie, that I think it's really cool, somebody was getting it to stand up on its own. Mine does if I'm really careful and I don't look at it the wrong way. Mine will stand up on its own for a few minutes. Did you do that with your stuffed animals too? My sister, who works for Williams-Sonoma, she used to line up her animals too, but she would sell them things out of her JCPenney catalog. I didn't want to sell anybody anything. I wanted to teach people things. So I always think that's funny, because I'm the one who ended up with an online store. But it's really secondary to my classes. My truest passion is teaching. My sister was the one selling JCPenney merchandise to her animals. Oh, I'm so glad. Okay, so if you have technical questions, just know I'm not ignoring you, but I'm going to leave all the technical questions to Alexis and really focus on the content for tonight, because that's where you need me most. So I will leave Alexis to talk to you about where your notes are and passwords and all of that good stuff. She takes over for that for me. And you performed for yours, Ginny? I want to see what you performed for your stuffed animals. I'm sure it was quite a show, right? So, okay, glad that you're here. Now, I posted this in our Facebook group today. If you did not see it, don't worry. I'm going to show it to you. And Alexis, I don't know if you already posted it in the sagegoddess.com classroom page, but it would be good to put it there too. Alternatively, you can just Google pentagram with elements. And I just picked the one that I liked the best. But we are going to be talking about this tonight for obvious reasons, right? We're talking about the pentacle, which is penta, pende means 5 in Greek. So it is a 5-pointed star, and that's where the name pentacle or pentagram comes from. And so we're going to be talking about that. Cindy drew it, which I think is great. You can just draw it. And then you want to fill in, right? The topmost point of the star is the spirit element. That's the 5th element. And I've got interesting things to tell you about that tonight. And then the rightmost arm of your star is the water element, right? The leftmost air or arm, top arm of your star is air. And the bottom right arm is earth, yeah? And the bottom left arm is fire. So this is important for us because we're going to be doing some hand work tonight. I'm going to teach you how to invoke the elements using your hand. In case you're ever somewhere where you can't say it out loud, or you don't want to say it out loud, or you're somewhere having an absolute temper tantrum, what do? And so this becomes a tool that you can use. And it's the shape of this, but I'm going to also teach you how to use your hands. So that's why I was saying the tool is one part of our class tonight. It's not the whole class. So if you don't have your star, when you get your star in the mail, just do the meditation part again, holding it, because we're going to be doing some energy work with the star. Yeah, well, a pentacle doesn't have the circle around it, right? That's what the pentagram is. That's the strict definition. It becomes a pentacle, becomes a pentagram when you place the star inside the circle. And that's what's traditionally associated with witchcraft. And the rabbit hole we're not going down tonight is the witchcraft rabbit hole. But I am going to tell you a little bit about my 2 cents on working with the star and the pentagram and its energy and my journey with witchcraft, which lasted for about 2.5 years, from the time I was 16 and a half-ish until I was, well, I guess about 3.5 years, until I was almost 20, was the extent of my journey, my foray into Wicca. And then I left that behind. It wasn't the right path for me, and I kept discovering and asking questions and finding new teachers until I found what I think now is my path. The problem with my path is, and I don't know how you feel, my path doesn't have a name. Ms. Clark said, darn, why is that? Because you wanted to talk more about witchcraft? Yeah, I'm sorry, I flipped that. It is the pentagram until you put a circle around it, then it's the pentacle. Sorry, I flipped that in my head before saying that to you. Thank you. That's what I meant to say. It is a pentacle. Once you put the circle around it, it is a pentagram without it. Thank you. Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about it. The main thing for me is I can't say I'm this, I'm that, I'm not this, I'm not that, but I know I'm pretty old. So when people ask me, are you a witch? What I usually say is probably, but that's not all. No, wait, there's more, right? So the good news for me is nobody asks me anymore what I am. So I used to struggle with like coming up with names like, oh, maybe I'm a medicine person, or I'm a recovering Christian, or I'm a wayward Wiccan, or I'm a super old druid. You know what I mean? Like I've really struggled with. So Sylvie says she just goes with mystic. If people ask me if I'm a witch, I usually say yes, but, you know, yes, but what I am is what you call a witch, but that's just because you don't have a different name, and I don't have a name for what's old as me. Priestess is okay for me, but it doesn't, again, it's not all of it. That's why I'm teaching alchemy this year. You know, I'm not just a priestess. And one of the, well, in shaman, I won't even touch it anymore because, and you know, and here's what I'm going to say. I will never tell you what to call yourself. And whatever you call yourself, I will support you. You know, if Polly's like, I am blah, right? This word, I will be like, okay, Polly is hereby a blah. You know what I mean? I will totally honor whatever you call yourself, and I just assume it's going to be perfect for you. The move, just so you know, from priestessing to alchemy this year is an important one. And I do want to speak to that for just a second, both for those of you who are in just Crystal Masters on its own and those of you who are in the whole enchilada. Yeah, an omniist or an omnist is probably pretty accurate because omni means all or the totality, right? Shamanism is a mess because shamanism comes out of Siberia. And yet I've only met one Siberian shaman in my life. The rest of them are from Colorado and Arizona and Peru and Honduras. But that's not where shamanism began. And so what people have done with shamanism is said, well, I'm a shaman, but you can't say you're a shaman. And it's like, unless you're from Siberia, you can't tell anybody anything about shamanism. You know what I mean? So I've kind of backed off from shamanism because people, anytime people start to claim ownership of a word, I back off. It's just not interesting to me. You know what I mean? And I don't have to tell you this is a program in shamanism for you to be into it. Some people say it just to sell something, like, ooh, become a shaman, right? I just don't think it's interesting. One of the reasons I love alchemy and the title of alchemist is nobody claims ownership to it because they can't. I mean, the Egyptians could. They could claim some ownership of alchemy because it comes from Al-Kemet, right? So it actually comes from Egypt, although Al-Kemet just means from the black country. So it really doesn't even, all it does is describe really the people or the land or the territory. So anyway, that is the rabbit hole. I won't take you down tonight, but I get super disinterested in things when people start to claim ownership. I'm just like, okay, well, you can have that and I'll just go do something else. So as soon as people start claiming ownership to alchemy, I'll probably change that too and morph into something else because it's just not interesting to me. Lightworker's okay. And again, if it resonates with you, I love it. The reason I don't adopt Lightworker is I'm also a shadow worker. You know what I mean? I am not afraid, and there's connotations to light work, you know, that people think, oh, light worker, you know, like you don't delve into the shadows. I'm a shadow caster too, right? So I'm not afraid to get into those deep, dark chasms with you and really explore your deeper subconscious and what's going on in the collective unconscious. I'm willing to get into those places. So I could call myself a light and shadow worker. I don't know. So now you see my struggle, right? I'm just like, well, I'm too old to be a witch because that's pretty new. And priestess is probably relatively accurate. But then in our society, it gets connoted to mean you're a Wiccan priestess, which I am not, right? So I like it. Lisa's like, I'm just me. And Susie said, I'm a hollow bone, right? I like that too, hollow bone. The most accurate term I can come up with is magician. I do think I'm a magician. But I'm a magician in the sense of the major arcana of the tarot. This is my life path card in numerology. And I'm really proud of it. It's my favorite card in the Rider-Waite deck. And one of the things I love most, one of my most prized possessions is this box that holds my original Rider-Waite deck from eons ago that has my card on the front. Yeah, so I'm a magician. And what is the definition of a magician? A magician is one who knows how to use their tools. I am one who knows how to use my tools. I'm a wise person, which means I'm a magi or a Wicca, right? I am all those things. And then I am none of those things, right? Marlene says, why do we need names or classifications? You know, Marlene, we don't. And the whole reason I'm bringing it up tonight is almost to show you how ridiculous it is. I mean, I'm never going to come up with a word to really describe myself, nor would I ever propose to come up with a word to describe you and how complex and incredible and wise and powerful you are. Like, I would never propose to call you something. So I initiate people as priestesses, and this year in Soul Shift you'll be initiated as an alchemist, and in Crystal Masters you'll be initiated as a crystal healer. So we give you each other these terms, and the reason we do that is it gives people a way of understanding that we have specific training, right? So when people hire you, it's like being able to say, I'm a healer, or I'm a mystic, or I'm a wise person, or a medicine person, or I'm a magician, or I'm a alchemist. It gives people a way of understanding who it is and what you do. But I think, you know, at the same time, it limits us in our wingspan. I'm all about expanding wingspan, not limiting it. Right? I love it. Heather says, I'm here, I am me, and I have various gifts to help. Which sums it up really beautifully. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the pentacle. Again, pentagram is the 5-pointed star. The pentacle is when you wrap the circle around it, which creates a container of energy, and is what is used in witchcraft to raise what's known as the cone of energy, right? So this is something that's talked about a lot in witchcraft, and I'm teaching it to you tonight because I think the symbol is important. But I'm going to take you behind that to show you the star, the pentagram, the pentacle didn't start with Wicca. It actually dates back to Mesopotamia. That's when we really started to see the use of the 5-pointed star. And then ultimately it's Pythagoras in the Greek tradition, the Greek mathematic and philosophical tradition. It's Pythagoras who really started to claim some understanding about the significance of the number 5. Right, and its connection to his mathematical theorems, which we know today are the foundations of modern geometry and algebra. So when we talk about numbers and numerology tonight, because one of and these are questions I love, I really love them. Hopefully you listened to the class I recorded for you called Intro to Magic, where I talked to you a little bit about the origins of the 4 directions. Because I love it when people ask me foundational questions, right? Like, where did the directions come from? Who came up with that? Where did numerology come from? Who decided that these numbers have these specific meanings? And so the main thing I want to tell you about all of that is it's always earlier than you think. If you think you fix it to, well, that came from Europe, probably not, right? We're always looking at these foundational civilizations, Mesopotamia, Sumeria, Greece and Rome, Egypt, Kemet, right? And that's where most of the esoteric traditions that we think of today come from on the human timeline. And then we have to recognize that there's a preceding timeline before that of Lemuria and Atlantis, which are pre-foundational, right? So everything in Egypt, Greece and Rome is largely Atlantean, and everything that is North American, Central, and South American is primarily Lemurian in terms of how we break it down. Yeah, you're very welcome. And I certainly do want to talk more about altars and placement of altars, and so we will talk more about that. Not necessarily tonight. It'll probably be either a bonus video that I make for you or a bonus class that I do for you in the first quarter. That's right. I love it. Melissa says her 8-year-old wants to know who first found crystals. Wouldn't you love to know that? Me too. Tell her I do too. You know, it's one of the most common questions I'm asked as Sage Goddess more broadly is, you know, is it okay for us to work with crystals? Should we just leave them in the earth? You know, are we hurting the earth when we mine? And my answer is always the same. You know, I don't know who the first person to work with crystals was. They're mentioned in every early text. and certainly attributed to everything we know about ancient Egypt, right? The crystals, some of the floors of the temples were built and made of quartz and onyx. And so we know that they were working with crystals as far back as our earliest ancient civilizations, right? So I would love to know who that first person was. But in terms of should we be working with them and is it important to work with crystals, I think for a lot of us, we are so guided, you know? And I think we also get guided into relationships with the people who mine those crystals, and you know, and I think we're way showers and gatekeepers of a lot of the Earth's own wisdom and timelines, you know? Yeah, it's fascinating. I know. Okay. So I'm going to teach you a little bit, then we're going to do our meditation and integrate and talk about it a little bit, and then we will be done for tonight. We are going to talk about some of the major arcana cards in the tarot. So if you want to grab your Thoth deck or your Rider-Waite deck or any of your favorite tarot decks so that you can look along. I'll also show you the cards from my Rider-Waite, this is the deck I learned on. So when I think about the major arcana, and this is the deck I used to teach my online tarot classes that I did a couple of years ago. So I still rely on the Rider-Waite. It's still, because I think you always rely on whatever you learned on, but you can certainly look at the major arcana cards from other decks too if you prefer to compare and contrast a little bit. Yeah. A bonus class on Avalon. Yeah, but I wouldn't want to teach it. I would want to get Daisy to teach it. I'll ask her. Her mom just passed away. I'm going to be interviewing Daisy as part of my Tucson Gem Show in February, so I'm in touch with her all the time. But when she's through this period of grieving, I will reach out to her and see if she would be willing to teach a class on Avalon to you guys. I think that'd be really, really cool. Yeah. Well, Rider-Waite, I mean, honestly, if you only have Rider-Waite, you don't need anything else. I learned on Rider-Waite when I was 16 is when I started taking my tarot classes. And I kept going through tarot classes all the way through like 24, 25. And Rider-Waite was all I used for the first 7-8 years of learning the tarot. So I'm a purist when it comes to Rider-Waite. Daisy is amazing. What's the relationship between crystals and tarot cards? It's a great question. The link is, for our purposes tonight, is numerology. So tonight we're talking about bronzite, and we're talking about the number 5, because 2021 is a 5-year. 2 + 0 + 2 + 1 is 5. And so I thought it would be fun to teach you numerology. And the reason you can use this as a crystal healer is all of your crystals have facets, have numbers of sides. They all have crystal structures, right? Some of them are hexagonal, some of them are octagonal. So your hexagonal minerals all vibrate automatically to that number 6 energy. And after tonight, it'll make so much more sense to you. All of your octagonal crystals vibrate to that, or your octahedral crystals vibrate to that number 8. And again, that'll make more sense to you after tonight. So the connection between crystals and the tarot really comes down to numerology. And I'm only looking tonight with you at the first 11 cards of the deck, because those are primarily the numerological numbers that we're going to be talking about tonight. I'm not only focusing on number 5, Siren of the Void, no. And actually, you may have missed some of the lives I was doing where I talked about this. But I'm going to cover briefly tonight all of the life path numbers. And then I'm going to focus on 5 for our meditation because we're in a 5-year. But I didn't want just the 5s to feel like tonight was for them. So we're going to be talking briefly about all of the life path numbers, which goes 1 to 9. So make sure you have your life path number calculated. And how do you do that? So you take your birthday, right? So my birthday is August 9th, 1973. So my life path number is 8 + 9 + 1 + 9 + 7 + 3. And you just keep reducing that down and reducing that down until you get a single digit. Isn't that fun? Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are excited. Like I said, I've been looking forward to tonight's class all day long. I would have started tonight's class at 10 o'clock this morning if I could have. I was so excited for you guys today. So make sure you have your number. And then what's fun after tonight, sky's the limit. You can start to look at your friends and your partner and your children and your animals and your everybody has a life path number. You can look at the number of your house. You can look at the number of where you work. You can look at your driver's license number. You can look at your, I mean, everything. Every number can be reduced down and looked at through this lens. So look at this. I'm so curious whether we have a quorum, a predominance of one number or two numbers in our group. We probably should do a little, Alexis, in our Facebook group, we should probably do kind of a poll, you know, like how many 2s do we have? How many 5s do we have? But I'm a 110, so we'll talk about that too tonight as the leader of your container. 1s are always the leaders. It's always been hard for me to be a follower. And not because I think I know better, but because when I'm in something, a space, a class, a group, I always take charge. And that's kind of the one life path, is to come in and go, well, nobody else is going to do it. Guess I'm in charge here, and then kind of taking over. So that's one of the things that we do. 6 in the house, I like it. Yeah. So, and if you're confused, just let us know, Melissa, what you're confused about. If I don't catch your question, Alexis will, and she'll be able to help you untangle any knots. So we are looking primarily, like I said, at the number 5 tonight. And I had this star made for you because 2021 is a 5-year. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 equals 5, right? And so we're primarily looking at the 5-year, and we're going to be doing some releasing and receiving work in our meditation. But before that, I really do want to teach you just a little bit about numerology, because it applies to all of your crystals in a lot of different ways, right? Even if you think about a single terminated quartz versus a double terminated quartz, is the energy of 1 or 2. Well, those are very different energies. Number 1 energy, so let's dive right in if you don't mind, and we'll just kind of get the party started. So, and again, please feel free to ask your questions. Alexis is watching the feed with me. If I don't get to your question, she will, you know what I mean? And then you can also ask questions later in our Facebook group too. So there's lots of support here for you. Okay, so Alexis, there's a couple questions in the feed about how to calculate your life path number. I don't know if you have an easy way of just describing it in a quick answer or something that you can provide, and then I'm going to dive in with the cards. Yeah. Okay, cool. So remember that the tarot starts the journey of the Fool, right? And I've taught this to you in some way or another quite a few times. And you do count your year, yes, your birth year, all 4 digits of your birth year. So, but nobody is a 0 life path. The lowest life path number is a 1 or a 10. And so, but the Fool is where it all begins. We all begin here, whether you're a 5 or a 9 or an 8, like Jennifer, right? Yeah, so 11 reduces down to a 2. You want to get down to a single digit. Whatever you are, right? You just keep adding if your month is a double digit. And thank you to those of you too in the feed who are offering examples too to help Alexis out as well. Okay, so you want to get to a single digit. Everybody starts as the Fool. We start at 0 in our soul's journey. In this lifetime, right? Yeah, so hopefully you guys can sort through from the comments too. Okay, in this lifetime, I am a 1. And that is the soul journey of or the life path journey of the Magician. Okay? So if you are a 1 or a 10, because remember 10 is 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. If you are a 1 or a 10, then you are the Magician, like me. And this is we are the ones out the gate who are here to teach you how to use your tools. Why does this matter to you? Well, if you are a 110 in your life path, this is relevant for you. We at some points will have a 1 year, right, that we're living through, where all the digits of the year add up to a 1. Well, that's a year of leadership. That's a year of learning how to use your tools. Sometimes coming back to the 1 means coming back to the foundation, the basics, right? Remembering who you are, what you're here for, what your gifts are. If you're raising a 1, that's tricky. If you're partnered to a 1, that can be tricky too, right? Yep, it is a ruling number. It's absolutely true. So, and it tends to be a number associated with elemental balance too, because the magician, if you look at the magician card, the magician has the pentacles, which represent earth, the cups that represent water, the sword that represents air, and the wand, which represents fire. And has the infinity symbol above his head, which means that he is infinitely capable of employing his tools, right? Yeah, so I'm going through each number one by one. So after the life path number 1, and by the way, and I don't know, Alexis, did you already share all this information with them about the stones? I haven't been in our Facebook group this afternoon, so Alexis may have already put the information in the group. I came up with stones for each one of the life path numbers. And we're giving you a little discount. I think it's 20% off of these stones if you decide you want to get the stones for your life path number, and you may already have these stones. So you may already be fully stocked with everything that you need, but so we'll share them with you. So the stones for the magician are carnelian, amazonite, dragonstone, and fire agate. So carnelian for fire energy, amazonite, which brings air element energy, dragonstone, which brings a lot of earth element energy, amazonite brings water too, and then fire agate, which is all about harnessing your gifts, bringing them forward courageously. Isn't that fun? Okay, so you have not seen this yet. So what Alexis is scheduling, I think, the post to go up in your group at 5 p.m. So don't go to your group yet. This will be there after we're done. And so but again, look at the list. You may already have these stones. If you don't have them, then you can use your discount code on them, but don't worry about that yet. That's for later, okay? And Alexis will hook you up with the code and all the information that you need. Okay, so that is for number 1, for the magician. The magician then continues on the fool's journey, right? And he and the fool encounter number 2, which is the high priestess. Are you anybody at 2 here? So, and we talked about this with single terminated and double terminated wands. When something is a 1, it takes the force of its energy and moves it in one direction. That's why 1s are really good at manifesting. They know how to move in a singular direction to make something happen. 2 is the 1 plus 1. 2 creates energy movement in both directions. And that's what we call a double terminated wand. It can send and it can receive. And so the magician is really just primarily good at sending. The high priestess is good at sending and receiving. Look at you guys. So the high priestess is duality. It's partnership. It is also the energy of unions, of sensitivity and awareness. It's highly connected to the moon and the emotions. They're so intuitive. So whereas the magician learns how to use their tools, the high priestess learns how to use her intuition, which is the power behind the tools, which is part of what I love about it so much. So the high priestess's stones are aquamarine, emotional awareness and understanding, pink opal, which is about transformation of emotions too, moonstone, since she's so connected to the energy of the moon and the lunar cycles, and then rhodonite, because the high priestess understands there's 2 faces to everything, even in love, right? Sometimes we hurt the ones we love the most. So there's always this sort of light and shadow balance that the high priestess is learning how to work with as she develops her intuition, right? Isn't that interesting? Look at that. Jacqueline Henson, her husband and she are both 11 2s, right? So their double digit number is 11 and it reduces down to a 2. So that's a master number, high priestess energy in both of you. That's pretty intense. But there's a lot of equality in that too. Yeah, so Serene, we're not going to get into that tonight. That would be a master class on numerology, and we just don't have, I mean, I would love to do it, but we don't have the time for it. But the double digit number, called the reducing number, matters too in numerology. For example, a 2810 and a 3710. I'm a 3710. My reducing number is 37. Those are different kinds of leaders. So we can't get into all of that tonight because that would be the 6 or 8 hour masterclass on this. At some point, maybe I'll do that. Maybe next year's curriculum will be a little bit more of a deep dive into this. Um, so that is the high priestess energy in number 2. So if you're in a 2 year, or if you have a 2 crystal or a double terminated crystal, it's a transmitter. It's learning to both send and receive information. It takes you out of the realm of the 1, which is primarily sending energy and information, and takes you into the realm of also receiving. Now, after the 2, we meet. Did I not take my Empress card out? I know I'm taking my Empress card out. Oh, Empress. Sorry. There should be like little music for this part. Do, 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 do. Yeah, Alexis will put all the crystals in your notes, and also she'll put that information in the Facebook group tonight at 5, so don't worry, that'll all be there. The Magician and the High Priestess next encounter the Empress. So if you're in a 3 year, if you're a 3 life path, this is your card, and this is your archetype. The Empress is one archetype. We also call it the socializer. The 3 is the union plus 1. It's the couple conceiving their child. So that's why the Empress is pregnant. And so we tend to think of this card as expansive energy, opening, becoming pregnant, becoming fertile, expanding out into the world. That's all the energy of number 3. This is optimism, fun, creativity. Artists are often 3s in the life path. Cosmology, my daughter is a 3. She's a total Empress. So if you are a 3 or you know someone who's a 3, you probably are familiar with that kind of artistic, expansive energy. The crystals of number 3 are orange gypsum for creativity and also for clearing, because threes are naturally optimistic. They just believe the best is going to happen. And they tend to infuse that optimism into their relationships. They're really good at play. They don't take life too seriously. They're kind of buoyant people. You know what I mean? I always wanted to be more like a 3. Pink opal, aquamarine, orange gypsum, crazy lace agate, which is a stone of enjoyment, clear quartz, and starry jasper. And clear quartz because number 3s magnify. They make everything bigger wherever they are, with their enthusiasm, with their excitement, with their creativity, right? Oh yeah. So after we meet the Empress on our journey, we continue on to number 4. I didn't put these in order. So we go from high fly and Empress energy down to the kind of rule following, rule embodying domain of the Emperor. So we think of the Empress as the high feminine energy. We think of the Emperor as high masculine energy. And the number 4 is a number of foundation. So 2020 was a 4 year. 2020 was about what are the rules, what is the truth, some people are following the rules, some people aren't following the rules, wasn't it? So I'm kind of glad to leave 2020 behind, because there's a lot of Emperor energy. It's very masculine. It's very like people are either doing the thing or they're not doing the thing. You're either in or you're out. There's a lot of that kind of energy to a 4 year that we just all came through. But you have to recognize that 4 life path people also have some of this. They like rules and structures. And this is the masculine of the material world. So this is leadership. This is fitting in a box. This is creating structure. 4s are the numbers of firm foundation. So you like to have a direction. You like to have some kind of trajectory. Here's where we're going. Here's how we're going to get there. Is also the energy of number 4. We also call this the organizer worker archetype. So 4s are there to put in the work. They put in the time. They come up with the plan. They help people stay with the plan, right? They tell you when you're not on the plan, right? And so this particular life path and these years are associated with security. Are we secure or are we not secure? And if we're not secure, how do we get secure, right? So number 4s get very nervous if there isn't enough money, if there isn't, like they need to have all their kind of ducks in a row, which is nice because the rest of us are over here. Magician's like, screw it, I don't have a plan, but here to have a good time. Here to party like it's 1999, right? So, okay. So won't surprise you, the stones for the number 4 life path, petrified wood, right? Really accessing that ancient, deeper level of wisdom. Fire agate also shares that with the magician, because sometimes they have to light the fire under people to get them moving. Snowflake obsidian, because the emperor is very aware of the duality. And the emperor also emperors are really good psychologists and psychotherapists because they really understand people. And they have to have that intuitive understanding of people in order to make structures like, you'll be good over here and I need you over there. They're kind of the CEOs of the numerological world too. And remember, all of the life paths have the gifts of the life paths before them. So there's a little bit of high priestess, there's a little bit of magician, there's a little bit of empress in the emperor. The fool and the magician are the purest of the numerological types because they don't really have. Now, some people will say that the magician is not just a 1, it's a 10. So that the magician is ultimately the one that has them all within. But I don't know if I buy that. For me personally, being a magician, I don't know that I have all of the other archetypes inside. Okay, after we get to through the 4, we meet number 5. This is the year that we're in now. How many of you are a 5 life path? My husband's a 5, Dave's a 5. Ooh, the Hierophant. So the Hierophant, in so many ways, to me, is where the emperor is the masculine in the material world, the Hierophant is the masculine in the spiritual world. So this is spiritual foundations, spiritual principles. Number 5 people, man, right and wrong means everything to them. The one thing I can tell you about Dave is, if Dave will not do the wrong thing, even if somebody tells him to, even if somebody paid him to, Dave has this like sense of inner conviction, such Hierophant energy. If he believes something is right, he will go that way to the end. And I really admire it, right? You can't convince a 5 that something is wrong if they think it's right, and vice versa, right? They just are really, they know who they are. And they believe to a certain extent, and I think they're very accurate, because 5s tend to have incredible intuition, that they're being guided by a higher power. Okay, and I think they are. If you think about what precedes it, right? Empress, emperor, high priestess, magician. So you get here and you have the perfect balance, right, of masculine and feminine. Because you've had 2 masculine archetypes before you and 2 feminine archetypes before you, and now here you are. This is, and we're going to come back to this at the end of our review, because this is the year that we're in. We are in a year of intuition, of being guided by a higher set of principles, understanding right and wrong, and knowing intuitively how to navigate our way, right? Now, this is not the easiest life path. Not that any of them are easy, but 5 is also the number of change and transformation. 5s have to shake it up. They've had 2 masculine, they've had 2 feminine. Now what are they gonna do? 5s are the mold breakers. I just know a lot of 5 people who came out of troubled families, or, were broken families, where, parents remarried and all of these different things. And they've had to pick up the pieces and put it back together in a way that creates a new level of structure. And so I've kind of seen that happen to a lot of different people with 5 life paths, where they're coming out of a challenge and they are the ones who are going to rebuild, recreate, right? Yeah. So if you think about 2020 and 2021, is that not the story? Like, on our planet, we're coming out of a broken family. I mean, literally today we inaugurated a new president in the United States, right? We are literally a broken family in the US. And now we're in a 5-year. So now I'm going to figure out how to take this weird shit stew that I just came out of and make something great out of it, right? And it's true. Madison said, land on our feet like a cat. 5s, And I'm just telling you, it's one of the best life paths in my opinion. 5s know how to make something out of nothing. Because remember, 5 is also the number of wealth. 5 is the number of the human form, the head, the 2 arms, and the 2 legs. So this is why I'm spending so much time tonight teaching you about the pentacle and the pentagram and the 5 elements, right? The 4 elements are always present until you get to 5, and then it's like, so what's the 5th element? The 5th element is the invisible element. You can touch air, you can touch earth, you can touch water, you can touch fire. What about spirit? Right? So 5 becomes the intangible force for transformation. And that's why I think the star is so magnificent. That's why I'm excited about the energy of 2021, because there's that mystery element this year that's unpredictable, but also could propel us toward a whole new level of prosperity and structure and foundation and completion that we haven't been able to get to so far. So do you see how 5 is a wild card? Because it is everything predictable plus what is not predictable. And it's this energy, right? It's this Hierophant energy of understanding that there are laws of men and laws of God, right? And that somehow they are able to balance as above, so below. Now they're not a 6, that's the next card in the path. So after we leave the domain of the Hierophant, we enter the domain of the Lovers. The Lovers card in tarot doesn't mean what you think it does most of the time. This isn't necessarily about a man and a woman and getting it on, right? This is about finally another card of balance. All of the even cards propose balance, and all of the odd cards propose some sort of lack of symmetry that propels transformation. Oh, I forgot the Life Path 5 stones. So obviously bronzite. And that's why I had the star carved out of bronzite. Bronzite for releasing and transforming into something new structures out of old materials, right? Green aventurine, because 5s tend to be lucky and they tend to make money. 5s tend to make money late in life, by the way. 5s are not early bloomers. They tend to come into their own a little bit later in life, especially if they're an earth sign. Fluorite, rutilated quartz, and leopard skin jasper. Again, for transformation, going within, and experiencing your soul's own journey and evolution. Yeah. Okay, so green aventurine, bronzite, fluorite, rutilated quartz, leopard skin jasper. Now, life path number 6. She's not done. Life path number 6. This is your hexagonal crystals, right? So you think about aquamarine, quartz. I mean, all the beryls are hexagonal, right? So blue beryl is aquamarine. So your emeralds, your heliodors, your morganites, your quartz-based minerals, so citrine, smoky quartz, rose quartz, clear quartz. Those are all hexagonal minerals. And one of the reasons we love our hexagonal minerals is that the hexagon represents the ultimate balance of the above and the below, the within, the without, the masculine and the feminine. So the Lovers card is often actually more a card about balance of masculine and feminine than it is even about relationships. This is also represented, by the way, of course, by the hexagon. So if you think about that, the hexagon is the 2 triangles, right? One pointing north and one pointing south. So again, it's the completion of the Trinity, the earthly Trinity and the Holy Trinity mirrored in each other. Does that make sense? So yeah, so if you have a 6 or you know a 6, that is the 6. Yeah, I was gonna say Nick is not a 6, Nick is a 7. Okay, so after we leave the Lovers and the Lover stones, these won't be surprises either. Unakite jasper. Unakite jasper is a great stone of balance because even though it's a heart chakra stone, it contains jasper and epidote. So that's about softness and kindness combined with kick-ass manifestation, right? Again, as within, so without. Rose quartz, universal stone of love. And again, love, one definition of love is the absolute balance of masculine and feminine. It takes the balance of masculine and feminine to create life. Not to put too fine a point on it, right? And then blue calcite, which is a harmonizer. There aren't a lot of stones specifically for harmony, but blue calcite's one of them. And so it creates, again, that harmony between the inner and the outer that we consider alignment. The definition of alignment is being harmonized in all aspects of duality. So blue calcite does that really sort of effortlessly. And then pink moss agate, because sixes are also optimists. Sixes always look outside and see beauty because they see their own reflection. They're very spiritual people, sixes. So are sevens, by the way. Sixes and sevens are quite spiritual. Fives are too. Fours tend to be a little less spiritual. They're more, again, about the domain of humans and about matter and structure and foundation. The fives are a little bit more balancing the rules of man with the rules of God, right? Six starts to get into this broader spiritual dimension where they're really about the spiritual development and evolution. So yeah, don't worry about the stones yet. All of that will be posted for you when we're done with class, and Alexis will give you more information on that because she's putting up a post in your Facebook group with a link to all the stones for the life paths and then your discount code, but don't worry about it now. Okay. Number 7, the Chariot. We go from, if you think about it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is all this internal journey. And it's largely about me and whether I reflect the universe and what the rules I should follow. Are they spiritual rules or material rules? There's a lot of inward energy until we get to 7. The Chariot takes us from the inward to the outward. And my son is a 7. The one thing about 7s is they are kind of loners. The 7 profile. They are intuitive healers. Powerful intuitive healers. And I can give you countless examples of that with my son. Just countless. And it's almost effortless for them. Like they can just tell what's wrong and how to address it. And it's not like they even think about it or have to do research or anything. It's like it intuitively comes to them. So some people call it the medical medium profile. They also, though, they create movement and momentum. And that's what the Chariot card is, right? The Chariot is, okay, I've mastered my inner journey. I've mastered my understanding of spirituality. Now I'm ready to go out and to manifest this and to create something in the world with it. So they're on a solitary journey, but they're trying to figure out how to take what is inside and expand it out in the world. So they do have a builder profile. They also are people who tend to be very cyclical, be very aware of cycles, beginnings and endings. They just notice them and appreciate them, and they tend to be very ceremonial people who like to mark occasions. They're very thoughtful, they're very reflective people, and I think that's part of why they're loners, because they almost sense that they're so deep that some people can't appreciate it. But again, they're here to work with other people. They're here to build, here to create, here to extend out into the world. But like I said, the intuition, some people call it the prophet profile. Do not underestimate the intuitive capacity of the 7, because they will surprise you every time, and they'll catch you off guard with it too. And that's true of every 7 I've ever known. Interesting, right? So the stones here won't surprise you because there's a lot of it around your intuitive capacity. And I saw someone, I can't remember who it was, saying, oh, my mom is that number, but she's not like that. Keep in mind, 7s don't wear their spirituality on their sleeves the way a 9 does. 7s know how intuitive they are. Whether they share that with you or not, or how they share it, is different. The 9 wears their spiritual evolution on their sleeve. The 9s are called to a higher standard, in my experience. They're the ones who could be monks, could be priests, could live in a convent, could be withdrawn from society. So the 7s are loners but need community, and sometimes they hide their intuition because they don't wear it on their sleeve. The 9s, they really don't need other people, and they like to be, there is a little bit more of the reclusive kind of capacity in the 9s. Yeah. Okay, so stones for number 7, Trallite for the 7 life path, because Trallite, remember, is the Scorzolite, Lazurite, and the lithium, which is really good for learning to trust your intuition. Sodalite, which is also good for third eye. Blue quartz, what's known as Dumortierite, which brings patience, which is important because that chariot energy, they can get really fiery. And sometimes they need to recognize it's time to slow down, take their time, all of those things. Blue agate, again, stimulating intuition. And then bloodstone and prehnite for the 7s because of their medical medium capacity. They make amazing doctors, number 7. Amazing medical professionals, amazing nurses. Because they just know. It's like they walk in and, you know. A lot of them don't become medical professionals, though, because it's not always their calling. But they would have made great ones. These are the people you know who you think, God, you should have been a doctor, but they're not. You know? Am I calling you out? Okay, life path number 8, once we leave the chariot behind, life path number 8 is the strength card. Yeah, they make great therapists. That's exactly right. Or they would make a great therapist. Life path number 8 is about learning to tame what is wild within you and wild outside of you, and to make it work to your advantage. If you notice what the magician and the strength card have in common, do you see? They're actually partners. And I love it because the strength card is the card for sun sign Leo. So these are actually my 2 cards. And so this is the divine masculine magician and the divine feminine magician. She knows how to control nature. He knows how to control the elements, right? So there's a little bit of that energy. 8s are the authority archetype, the strength archetype, the power archetype, the wealth archetype. These are people who understand authority. They know how to make money, and they like to have control. The 8s tend to be very successful. They can be a little bit transactional. You give me this, I give you that, right? They're realists, right? They're pragmatic. They're very strong. They can be somewhat dogmatic. And they're not as much purists as the 1. The 1 wants to lead because the one wants to learn how to lead. The number 8 wants to lead because they just know they can. They're good at it, right? So, and 8 also, when you turn it on its side, is the infinity symbol, right? So 8s have the capacity, unlike any other life path number, to really manifest wealth. Why does this matter? Again, some of your crystals are 8-sided. Octahedral crystals, you think of diamonds are octahedral, fluorite's octahedral, spinel is octahedral, right? So these are crystals of maximum manifestation potential. You think of a year that could be an 8 year, that would be a year for you to take up external leadership, or to make more money, or to build wealth, or to start to look at a financial portfolio and things like that. So again, this is, now it's a feminine energy, which is what differentiates it, because Bufnita's like, sounds like the emperor, but it's different, and I'll tell you how. 8 makes money because it's a feminine energy stream. It's the strength card as a woman, right? She's receiving. The emperor makes money for other people. They're really good at it. The strength card makes money for itself. It's the feminine. It calls it within and holds, right? That's what the feminine does. So with the cards, you always want to look at the gender of the figure on the card, because it also tells you, are they giving or are they receiving? Is it a masculine card? Is it a feminine card, right? So pulling that energy in. So the stones for number 8 are sunstone for leadership, emerald for wisdom and discernment, because they have to know how to gather their resources, yellow aventurine, as well as yellow fluorite for strength, internal will, and citrine for financial wealth and abundance. Yeah, it's the empowered feminine. I think that's a great way of putting it too. Okay, and then number 9, the humanitarian. This is the hermit. And I saw someone in our group today said, oh, I'm the hermit. You know, kind of like that's boring. I don't remember what the person said, but I smiled a little bit because if I could choose a life path card, I would choose this one. I'm not a 9. But I always, there's a picture of me actually that my team took where I'm dressed up as the hermit because it's one of the cards I admire the most. The hermit is not boring, and the hermit is not necessarily a loner. 7s are more loners than the hermit. The hermit, though, goes first. The hermit says to everybody else, you know what? Stay here. It's dark out there. I'm going to light my lantern, and I'll go first. I'll go explore. I'll go discover. I'll go create. I'll go open the door. And then you guys can go behind me. I will clear the way for you. And that is what I find really beautiful about the 9s. There's something so comforting for me about 9 people in my life. My brother's a 9 and he's a Libra. And there is just this sense of him as like, you know, it's just kind of knowing that he's there. It's like someone you can lean on their shoulder, right? That's right. It's the I'll raise my hand profile and I'll go first and I will leave the light on for you, you know? And it's just like, ooh, bless the 9s, man, right? They're brave, they're strong. That's exactly right, Fernando. They're brave, they're strong, they're willing, they're able. And part of it is, the theory with 9s is that they're either on their last lifetime or they're coming up close to it where they're not going to keep incarnating anymore. So they're here for it. You know, the rest of us are like, well, this is hard and I don't know if I signed up for this and I don't like this contract. And the 9s are like, I signed up for this. I chose to be here now. I knew it was going to be hard. I'll go first. You guys stay there, right? The 9s are having a husband who's a 9 Virgo, Angelica, must be to some extent really, really sweet. You know, you must feel so looked after, I guess, is the way I would describe it, because they're very, they're selfless, right? These are energies of compassion, completion, acceptance, optimism, love, and faith in all forms of creation. So yeah, so the 9, anyway, for me, if I could choose a card, it would be the Hermit, because I've just always really admired the Hermit energy. Yeah, so it is. And each one of the cards aligns to an archetype, and this is your Virgo archetype. That's right. Pretty neat, right? So anyway, they're the oldest souls, I would say, of our numerological archetypes. So you tell me, are you okay? Did I go through that too fast? Do you feel like you're able to kind of keep up? Did it all make sense? Do you see the journey from the Magician to the High Priestess to the Empress, and then we go into the Emperor? Right now we have to create a foundation. Then we go into the Hierophant, who's like, well, that was a physical foundation. I'm going to create a spiritual foundation, right? Then we go to the Lovers. Within that foundation, there has to be duality. And then within that duality, we have to create movement into the Chariot. But to create that movement, you have to be strong. That Strength card has to come through, right? And then when you feel like you've conquered all, you realize someone still has to go first and light that first lantern and move out ahead on the path, right? Okay, so the 9 life path stones, obsidian, because again, they're clearing the way. Selenite 2 is a 9, okay. Because that's an internal source of light and illumination. Pink Girasol, which is a really soft baby pink form of quartz, which I just love. It's a very tender form of quartz. It doesn't have quartz has such an intense vibration to it. It's like the bowl in the china shop. Girasol is like a softer form of quartz. Chrysocolla, which is again about balance, but also moving with the feminine first, right? There's duality there, but it's largely feminine and reflective. And then Turritella agate for the 9, because it represents, Turritella agate is this fossilized form of these little tiny creatures from the beginning of the origins of life on our planet. It's one of the oldest fossil mineralized fossils that we have access to. It's these little tiny sea creatures. And so I think of Turritella agate as being the stone of the hermit because it contains all of the wisdom that's sort of inherently built into the other life path profiles. Mm-hmm. Aw, look at that. Oh, Mercy, I see you. They light that path for you, and how beautiful that you brought your 9 through into this world. There's something about 9 children where they don't seem like children. 1s can seem like that too. My mom always said I was never a child, really. You know? Like when I used to get in trouble in school because like they would say, oh, you know, pretend to be playing in a kitchen or whatever, and I would just go sit down somewhere with a book. And then the teacher would be like, well, why aren't you doing the exercise? And I would just be like, I don't want to pretend. You don't actually have a kitchen there, and I don't want to do that, so I'd rather just read my book. It's like, you know, some of these kids aren't really kids, right? No, so this is not, first of all, a lot of the stones I just described to you are somewhat new. So all of the stone correspondences are my own correspondences, and they're based more on the numerology than they are on the astrology. So you might find other people say different stones, although I tried to incorporate the astrology into the stone choices a little bit. Like sunstone is typically associated with life path 8 as a leadership stone for Leo. So some of them will overlap. Some of them are my own interpretations for you. Yeah. Okay, so Alexis, Nancy needs a little bit more help adding up the life path numbers. What am I drinking? Diet Cherry Pepsi. And my little Moroccan tea glass that I just got that I'm very excited about. Anyway, if you wouldn't mind popping in the little calculation one more time, Alexis, I think that would be very helpful. Okay, so let's come back to number 5. Now that we've gone through all of them, let's focus on 2021 and the magic of this piece that you have in your hands. And remember, we're coming back to Hierophant energy, right? I am a Dr. Pepper lady, but you can't find it. Nobody's got Dr. Pepper where I live. So I have become a Diet Pepsi lady. And I'm actually trying not to drink soda anymore. So I'm allowing myself 1/2 soda a day. And this is my last little, so I'm drinking in smaller glasses, my soda. So it feels fancy. It's a very mental challenge. I've had too much soda during the quarantine, so I'm really trying to cut it back and just drink water and tea and 1/2 of a Diet Pepsi. You can give me Dr. Pepper. Oh my God, I'm a Dr. Pepper person. It's really a problem. If I see it, like I salivate. I just love it so much. Okay. So I need to move to Texas. I've always known that I would be happy in Texas. Now knowing that they have all the Dr. Peppers, I will be very happy in Texas. It'd be a good retirement place for me. I do drink kombucha, but I drink it in the morning. So I have 1 kombucha before noon. I drink all 16 ounces before noon. And then after that, it's tea and water and my little bit of sodas. Yeah, I poured him a little soda in his little tea glass last night. I did do that for him. Anyway. Okay. So, what is this stone? This stone is called bronzite. And bronzite is a member of the enstatite family. It shares that in common with some of our other minerals that we love, like hypersthene. It has this beautiful little shine to it in certain pockets that you can see a little light play across the surface. Do you kind of see it there? So these were carved for us. And the reason I chose this, I really was thoughtful about tonight. I thought, well, you know, the first class of Crystal Masters 2021, we should probably do a little ceremony. And we should probably incorporate some energy around the year. And 2021 is a 5 year. So that's where I went on my numerology and pentagram kick. So another name for this shape is, just to give you the rest of the background information, another name for this shape is Pent Alpha. Remember, Pent comes from pende in Greek, means 5. And so an alpha, of course, is an A, right, in the Greek alphabet and in our alphabet as well. So you can see that as you turn this around, there's 5 alphas, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's why you might also see this referred to as pent alpha, because there's 5 A's. The star goes back to Mesopotamia. That's the first time we see a 5-pointed star. It was written in cuneiform, which was the first ever written language on our planet. And in cuneiform, this shape is called oob. You have to be careful because it sounds like you're saying boob, but you're not. It's oob. There's no B before it. So don't go around telling people that I taught you a star is called a boob, because it's not. It's a star. But I could see where you would go with that. And now you'll never forget that to say a star in cuneiform, or to write it, was the character oob. That's right. And that takes us back. The first time we see the oob referenced in Mesopotamia is 3000 BCE. So we're talking 5,020 years ago for our oob when it first appeared. So that's why when people are like, oh, star, pentacle, pentagram, you're a witch, I'm always like, and that is the most, what we call reductionist, oversimplified, ridiculous assumption ever. So that's why I wanted to teach you, yes, we certainly talk about, pentacles when we put the star inside the circle, and we certainly talk about the 5th element of spirit, and we certainly use the pentacle to invoke the elements in ceremony and things like that. But it's much earlier than that. We really didn't have anything called witchcraft in 3000 BCE. It's a much more new and and Gloria, that's why I love you, because she drew boobs in her comment, and there you go. I have to make you laugh at least once a class so that you don't take all of this too seriously. It's very dangerous. The star was also featured from the 5th century BC, by the way, on Jewish coins. So I thought that was interesting too. So we typically think of the 6-pointed star as being the Star of David, and that's primarily what you see in the Jewish pantheon, but you have to recognize too that we have other symbols and representations. Now, after Pythagoras, we started to see the star appear in art forms, right? Like Da Vinci is famous for having drawn the figure of the man with the stars representing the top point representing the head, and then 2 arms and 2 legs. And when we started to see these symbols of the star in its connection to the human form being represented, one of the concepts that that was being reflected is that and this takes us into, this is a whole other potential rabbit hole, okay? Your human body, you as a creation, are what's known as a microcosm, right? I'll talk to you about the inverted pentagram too in just a second, or the inverted pentacle, because that's a whole other, I'm about to get there, so you're just 2 steps ahead of me. You as a human are considered, and were considered by most of the early artists and philosophers and mathematicians, as a microcosm of the entire universe. So this one form is considered, to those early philosophers, the microcosm. You are basically the entire universe collapsed down into one small life form. So everything that's needed to create the universe exists in every cell of your body, right? So that is, if you want to talk about microcosm and macrocosm and 0-point theory and all, this is how we start to get into some really crazy rabbit holes. But suffice it to say that you, I do have music in the background, by the way. If it gets distracting, let me know, because I can turn it off. But everybody's been really enjoying it, so I tend to leave it on. But anyway, you are really the entire universe, everything that exists in the universe, captured in one small life form, right? And so that's why we talk about the God within, or, as above, so below, or as within, so without. Everything in this universe is just a reflection of everything that's inside of you, right? Okay, a fractal. It's exactly, it's another way of describing it or explaining it. And fractals are, again, another rabbit hole that you can go down. Super fun rabbit hole to explore. Now, the star upright represents the reign of spirit over matter, okay? And I want to explain this to you. I'm going to come a little closer to you to explain it. Think about your chakras, okay? Your crown chakra is right here. And don't we think about the crown chakra as being your connection to source, right? Your connection to God or to the divine. And then you have your arms and your legs. And all of your chakras extend through your central channel. So it would be root, right, crown to third eye, to throat, to heart, to solar plexus, to sacral, and then to root would be at the base of the center line of the stars, okay? So in traditional magic, we think about our connection to source as being the top point of our star. And we think about the upright star as being the representation of the reign of spirit over matter, that our better angels guide us, right? That we're guided by our ideals, we're guided by source, we're guided by our spirit guides and our higher selves, okay? When you invert the pentacle, do you see what happens? In the framework of what I just taught you, this is what's really interesting about the inverted pentacle, right? Reign as in R-E-I-G-N, reign of spirit. That's right. In the satanic tradition, when they invert the pentacle, it is the reign of matter over spirit, okay? So all of a sudden, instead of being guided by your source creator, you are guided by your lower chakras, right? You are guided by your sexual desires, and you are guided by what makes you feel safe and comfortable. Does that make sense? So that we tend to think of the upright pentacle as the reign of spirit over matter, and we tend to think of the inverted pentacle as the reign of matter over spirit. And that's why people see it as a symbol of evil. Does that make sense? I really wanted to explain that to you because a lot of people don't understand why somebody would invert it. Is it just because they wanted to just, flip the paradigm or, but there's an actual real reason to it. And that's why the devil card in the tarot isn't so much about a devil, right? It's about temptation. It's about letting your base desires and your base emotions drive your actions, which for some people works for them. It's not my tradition. It's not my practice. I personally think spirit should reign over matter. But there are definitely people who believe that matter should reign over spirit, that what you want physically should be more important than what you feel like you're obligated to do because of your faith or spirit tradition. Does that make sense? Well, Alexa, so here's the thing, right? I struggle with words like good and evil. I use them sometimes because sometimes there's no other way to describe it. And I've said this to you guys many times before, and I will always say this for as long as you know me and work with me. There is real, what I guess we would call evil in this universe. I've encountered it. Some of you have too. It's not my favorite thing to see or witness. I also feel like, I think it was important for me to witness it at some point so that I would take it seriously and be diligent in my protection practices. So I think that's why I had the experiences that I've had. So I don't like the word, but I think the energy exists. But do I think that just because you flip this upside down, you're an evil person? No. But I think there is something to be said for, what do you believe should be in control, right? Is it man deciding or is it spirit deciding? Do you know? Like if my root chakra and my vagina are running this show, it's a real different show. Does that make sense? I'm not saying one show is better than the other. I'm just saying for me personally, that gets to be a weird show. And it's not exactly this show. So, but we all have We all have light and shadow, which is why I was saying earlier, like the light worker thing for me is kind of tricky because it isn't just all light work, right? We're not just all light. And I think that kind of spiritual work is actually pretty dangerous, you know, when we pretend like nothing exists but light and we're nothing but light. And if you're not light, there's something wrong with you. Like, I think that doesn't create liberation for people. It makes them feel like there's something wrong with them and they feel rejected by the system, right? So light and dark exists. I do think something that we might call evil exists because I've seen it, but I don't necessarily think it's tied to whether we invert a star or not. I think it's something much bigger and more profound than that. Okay. That's a different rabbit hole also for you to go down if you want to. I will tell you, sometimes those things that we're talking about, when you go too far down those rabbit holes, that energy, those energy streams can really sink their hooks in you. That's my only cautionary tale to you. One of the reasons I don't dabble and I don't play with magic is that it is real, and there are certain energies that will just cling to you and draw you in and pull you down, and it's too intense. The way I look at it is my life's, you know, here is not for that purpose. So I just don't like to indulge those energies. I'm not here to support them, and I'm not in alignment with them. And I don't have to spend that much time talking about it because most people who are interested in that tend not to be very interested in me. You know what I mean? They get one whiff of me and they're like, nah, that's not what she's doing. And they go find what they're looking for, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's a no poll for you. Yeah, it's not really my favorite thing to research. But it's good for us to talk about it so that you kind of know who I am and what we're doing and what the focus is. Well, that's what I'm saying, Rochelle. I think light workers do work in the shadows, but there's connotations. Do you know what I mean? Most light workers I know do shadow work too, but if you just call yourself a light worker, sometimes there's these connotations like, oh, well, she just does light work. It's like, no, I do the other work too, but I don't do that other work, if you know what I mean. Oops. That's right. Well, I mean, I don't know exactly where to direct you if you want to do more research on that subject. It's not my forte, but my guess is you start punching some stuff into YouTube and you'll have a whole field day ahead of you. It's not my expertise, yeah. So shadow work is kind of beyond the pale of our purposes here in Crystal Masters, but if you ever get interested in that, we're doing a lot of that work in Soul Shift, which is, shadow work is the process of exploring your subconscious and unconscious aspects of who you are. Like right now, you're dealing with my conscious self, but I have a subconscious self and an unconscious self, both individually and part of a collective. And so it's about really navigating and trying to figure out who you are in totality and not just the person that you know, the person who teaches the class or the person who parents the kids or whatever, right? We have three-dimensional selves, the collective, the subconscious, the conscious, and the unconscious. And so shadow work is about looking into those other aspects of who you are to get a full picture of who you are. Yeah. So to hold the star, so Spirit is running the show, you want point up. Now here's what I wanted to teach you about this, and then we're going to do our meditation together. Are you having fun? I hope you're enjoying this. I hope this is interesting to you because you'll find in our Crystal Masters classes, it's partly about the crystals and it's partly about energy work and how to work with the crystals to bring healing. And so part of my focus is to teach you about the crystals and the shapes and the structures and all of that, but also to teach you a little bit of the process, science, energy behind it too. And history too. Now, one of the ways we can work with a pentagram, even if you don't have the star shape, okay, is you can use the pentagram and draw it to bring in specific elemental energy into your space. And notice I'm not holding it this way. I am holding it this way with the top point up. Okay, so let's say you really wanted to, let's say you were having anxiety, okay, which tends to be air and fire. And you wanted to balance that energy by grounding yourself and connecting more deeply to your emotions, right? So right now you're all in your head and you're coming in hot, okay, with an anxiety attack. one of the ways we can use our star is by looking at the points and remembering that each one has an elemental correspondence. So if we want to bring in more earth energy, we draw the pentagram starting at the point of the earth termination. Okay, so I just invoked earth element energy into my field. Now you can draw it on your skin, you can draw it with perfume, you can hold the star to you, right? And look at so your earth is your bottom left. I'm trying to do this so that you can see. And you can actually draw it by tracing it on your tool. And then when you're done with that energy and you want to release it, then you're going to draw it counterclockwise. So invoking it is going clockwise, and then releasing it is counterclockwise. Does that make sense? And again, this is easy for you to do. Or let's say you feel too grounded, you've gotten depressed, right? You need to be uplifted. You need a little bit of a butt kicker session, right? You're just in your body and you're sad and you're like, is this all there is? So maybe you're like, you know what? I want to move some air element energy. I want some spaciousness in my thoughts. I'm feeling kind of hemmed in, tied down. So then you're going to want to invoke the element of air. And then when you're done, counterclockwise to release it. Or you can say, you know what? I've lost my faith. Yeah. Interesting. Carolyn said a lot of people draw it different ways. I have seen, this is a very traditional pentagram, which is, I try to teach you kind of the foundational ways. I haven't seen too many pentagrams with different elemental correspondences, but you probably will, Carolyn, if you think about it. There are different medicine wheels, like there's the Lakota medicine wheel, and then there are some shaman in Central and South America who draw the elements in different spots on their wheel. So this is why I try to show where I'm coming from to give you an idea. So I use the Lakota medicine wheel and a traditional pentacle in terms of the alignment of the directions. This is the same elemental pentacle that is in my original Wicca notebook from when I was 17. So that's why this is the one that I use. But I'm sure if you look online and you look up 1,000 different pentacles, you'll probably find one that has a different set of elements around the wheel. Yeah, so water's reversed on some wheels. So just so you know, this is the one that I use. If you find one that you like better, use it. For sure, right? If you, again, for me, like I learned tarot on the Rider-Waite, I tend to kind of stick with what I originally learned from, but if you find one that you like better, then you can use whichever one you align more with. So that's a quick lesson on how to use this or how to incorporate it with whatever kind of work that you're doing. So let's say you feel like you've lost faith, right? Spirit is always top, right? Sometimes people flip-flop water, air, or they flip-flop earth, fire. Nobody flip-flops spirit. Spirit is always the fifth element, and spirit is always on top. So no matter what model or image you look at online, I've never seen one that did not have spirit at the top, because spirit is that connection. It's your crown chakra, right? So let's say you lost faith and you wanted to call some faith in, right? You could invoke the element of spirit, and then when you're ready to release it, again, counterclockwise to release it. Aw, thank you for that, EA. Tell her I said hello as well. It's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, whew. So now this is your tool. So I want to show you the exercise I want to do with you tonight for the remainder of our time together. Yeah, so this is, just so you know, this is in your Facebook group. Alexis will put this in your notes, and then she'll also make sure this is on the sagegoddess.com classroom page. And then, like I said, if you want to, Google, and maybe there's a different one that has flippy floppy elements or whatever you prefer, you can totally use a different one that you like better too. I do, Kim Kaiser. She's asking, do you always release it? If I bring energy in, I let it go. I always do. I think it's a good, solid practice. You know what I mean? I think if you're going to call an energy in or going to welcome a guide or a guardian into your ceremony space or whatever, I think it's courtesy. But again, that's my training too. If you call something in, you should always let it go. Yeah. Yeah, so that one is there in case you want to work with it. Okay, so now if you have your star, I want you to hold it. And I want you to hold it with the point facing up. So this really is a representation of you. And take a nice deep breath. You release it whenever you're ready. At the very minimum, release it when you're done with your work, right at the end of your ceremony or at the end of your meditation or anything like that. Yeah. Yeah, I'll show you that before we're done. Okay, so what we're going to do in this meditation, and even if you don't have the star, you can do it alongside me, and I'll just hold the space for you with the stone, is we are going to do a brief releasing and receiving ceremony for 2021. And I am going to open a circle for us. We're not really raising energy in a traditional sense, but because we are working with energy, again, you're going to find with me as a teacher, I always sort of err on the side of being a little bit conservative with energy. If you don't want to open a circle or don't feel the need to open a circle, you don't have to. The nice thing about me doing that for you is that I'm doing it for you. So when you're taking classes with me, I'm always holding the container for you. So even if you forget to release the elements or whatever, you can kind of feel like I'm doing it for you. And it's a good way of getting into good habits too. Okay, so we're going to start. Remember that the lower 2 points of the star are your lower baser instincts, right? Your lower chakras. And I like to release through my lower chakras. And the upper 3 points of the star are your higher instincts, right? Your upper chakras, your heart, your throat, your third eye, your intuition. So we're going to release through these bottom 2 points tonight. We're going to release 2 energy streams, 2 situations, 2 frequencies from 2020 right here, right now. And it's a great question. You can always just say, I welcome all of them into the space. And I just opened a circle. I'm not calling in all the guides and guardians. I just wanted to demarcate a boundary for our work tonight. So I didn't go all the way through all of the invocations. But having said that, we've been tracing the pentacle tonight too. So I feel like in a way we've already invoked all of the elements into our space as it is. Okay. I love that. Okay. So I want you to think about 2 experiences, energy streams, emotions, ideas that you're ready to release from 2020. Could be a mindset, could be conflicts that you had in 2020. It could be emotions, right? There's so much from 2020 that I feel really ready to release. That's right. So what is it for you for 2020? And you can choose to share it in the feed. You don't have to, though. You can keep it to yourself, too, if you want. I think the main thing from 2020 that I'm ready to release is disconnection, you know? Yeah, and fear. I think those would be my 2. Disconnection and fear. And yeah, if you want to do more of the shadow work stuff, you might want to consider upgrading to Soul Shift. And I'm not saying that to promote Soul Shift, because Soul Shift has to be right for you, you know? But that's a lot of the work that we do in the bigger class. This is one part of Soul Shift, but Soul Shift meets every week. So chaos is a great one too. Anxiety, fear, anger, fear. I think we're all letting go of fear tonight. Sadness. I had some sadness in 2020. Did you? Grief. Yeah. I had grief in 2020. Anger. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just reading all of yours. I'm like, yeah, that too. Lack of motivation. You know, because when you get into that place of fear and anxiety, it's really hard to stay motivated and excited about your life and your work and your passion and everything. You know, it's like, so I want you to imagine, one of the things I like to do in meditation is imagine that my energy field has energy feet, right? That I can stabilize my entire energy field by sort of anchoring these energy feet into the earth. So I want you to imagine sending your energy feed. You can put your actual little footers on the floor too, but you can imagine your energy feed sinking your lower chakra energy down into the center of the earth to really connect you as we release. And so we're going to do one at a time. So I want you to, with each big release, we're going to inhale. And I want you to connect to the energy of the word. And on the exhale, we're going to drop that energy down into the center of the earth to release it and let it go. The best way to release energy is to give it to the planet. She's a natural composter of energy, our great mother Gaia, and she can hold the things that are too heavy for you and too heavy for me and too heavy for our kids. You know, it's like nothing's too heavy for her, kind of. Health issues would be another good one to release and let go and surrender, right? Okay. So again, on the first inhale, on the inhale, we're going to connect to the energy of that word, whatever it is, fear, separation, division, whatever. And on the exhale, we're going to push that energy down through our energy feed, through these roots down into the center of the earth to release. And we're going to surrender this energy back to 2020. We're going to give it back tonight. Right? And that's a very clean energy practice. You're not manipulating anything, right? You're just releasing what you feel is too heavy to carry, which is always easy and good to do, right? So you ready to do number one? Let's go ahead and inhale with our first one, minus fear. And exhale. Want it all out. And really imagine that bottom termination. If you want to imagine it aligned to one of the, remember that the two, you have earth and fire. So for me, that energy of fear is very fiery. It's like, you know, oh, you're so sweet, Anna Michelle. Inadequacy is another good one too. Sadness, grief, uncertainty. Did you release all that one? Do you feel like it's gone? Why don't we do one more inhale, exhale on that one? Because these are big, big, big energy streams that we're releasing. So let's do one more time with fear or whatever your one is, right? And exhale. Out. And really feel it leave every cell in your body. Give every cell in your body permission to release fear. Fear from the head, fear from the neck, fear from your shoulders, fear from your chest and your heart and your lungs, and fear from your digestive system. And just melting, releasing, melting, releasing. And if you were doing this with a client, which you could actually do, you can place it here at the heart, which is the central chakra. You look like a sheriff though. What do you do? Like a gemstone sheriff, everybody. Or you can place it on their solar plexus. And again, just imagine them releasing down through their energy feed, right? What are you releasing? What are you letting go? And teach them how to really use that exhale to release that energy through, right? Or if they feel like the energy's stuck somewhere, like, oh, I swear this fear is stuck in my sciatic, then you would just want to place the star there. And again, imagine them shooting that energy of releasing with that exhale, right? Out. You can sure stomp on the floor to release it. Get that gunk out of here, man. Okay. Now, your other one, we've got another one we're going to release, right? So I'm doing disconnection, separation. I'm so tired of being separated. I'm so tired of not being able to hug my parents. I'm so tired of it. Of not being able to touch humans other than my COVID bubble humans. And I love my COVID bubble humans, but I'm a very social creature. I like to travel. I haven't seen my people. It's hard. My team, I mean, I've seen Alexis once this year. What? So, separation. Ready? So let's go ahead and on the inhale again, we're going to really get into that, feel that energy stream and take the energy in and then quick drop it out. Ready? And you can do a little energy work exercise to ask your body, so where is separation sitting somewhere in my body? And ask your body to give you a signal. Where is it sitting? and see if you can tune in. I feel like mine is sitting in my mid back between my right shoulder and my right hip. It's like this whole area back here feels like where the separation is sitting. So just ask your body where it's sitting and yeah. I know. I have hope for this year though, I really do. Oh, nice. You snapped your wrist and released it. So if you don't have a star, Diana, just do the exercise without the star or draw the star. I mean, you could draw the star even just like this, or print this out from your classroom page and, right? Or just visualize it. Yeah. So you're feeling it neck and shoulder, left side, and keep in mind what the sides mean, right? Your right side is connected to your left brain. So this is the masculine. This is your projecting masculine, right? And the left side is connected to your right brain, which is your feminine, right? Receiving feminine. So I'm experiencing greater separation on my masculine side, which is interesting. Not on my feminine side, it's looser, it's more free flowing. It's my masculine side where the energy is stuck. Okay, and just really visualize ask yourselves to release all energy of separation, fear, whatever your two are. Give yourselves permission to open and release, and just imagine every cell in your body, every cell in your brain, every cell in your skin, every cell in your organs. Open and release, open and release, open and release, open and release. And again, if you feel it somewhere, again, this stone itself is a stone of releasing, high iron content. So it's a strengthener too. This is really good for solar plexus work, which is why I like to put it there. This feels like a very supportive stone for the solar plexus, so it's really good for empowerment, for strength. And if you're feeling it on both sides, it's good in a way because it just tells you that the energy is evenly distributed through your field. If you start, and where you feel that pain, do some work there. Get your extraction needles out. If you have one of these, right, get your extraction needle out and go in with your needle, right? This is one of my favorite things. If you guys have not done this, it's still to this day one of my favorite things in my gemstone collection. Right, and move that energy around. I always move in clockwise circles. Feels so good on the top of the head. Have you ever done your extractor needle on the crown of your head? It's an almost sexual experience. I can't do it for very long because I literally go into another dimension. It's so good. Okay. This is called an extraction needle. This is last year's Crystal Masters, but you can always go and just pick up that one class from last year if you want to learn more about them. It is something else. It's life-changing. Okay, now that we've released, an extractor is technically not a Vogel. A Vogel is double terminated, whereas an extractor is not. But again, if we have time at the end of tonight after class, I'm happy to answer some of these questions, but I want to make sure I focus on this month's content because I did teach this last year, but I'll come back and try to answer your questions at the end tonight if I can too. Okay, now you ready? Now we've released, so our energy feet are anchored into the center of the earth, right? You can feel the energy flowing. We've released what feels too heavy for us. If you are in Soul Shift and you did the Prima Materia meditation, you might also check in just to see, because I taught them how to read the elements with their body. So you might just see if you're feeling like you're wanting to lean in one direction or the other, one element or the other. Okay, now the top three, the top 3 points of your star are like I said, the higher frequencies, the higher energies, the better angels, your higher self. And so these, and you can certainly use a wand. You just want to have something that's really, really sharp. That's the whole point, is to activate the meridians and the key lines. You need something that has a really sharp termination. Okay. Spirit, water, and air are up here at the top. So we're going to set 3 intentions tonight for 2021. We've released earth and fire, right? Energies that are bound up in the lower domain of our star. And now we're calling in the energies for the upper domain. So I want you to set an intention for 2021, one that's based in water. And a water intention would be an intention for prosperity or for love or for emotional healing. I want you to set an intention for 2021 related to spirit, which would be an intention related to your spiritual growth and transformation, deepening your faith, enhancing your ability to meditate. That could look like 1,000 different things, right? Enhancing your skill set, creating more ceremonies, taking your spiritual work out into the world, helping your community, being of service, all of those things. And then the last intention is an intention for 2021 aligned to air. And that is an intention that you could set for clarity, for spaciousness, for visibility and vision, being able to see clearly, being able to understand clearly. Could be an intention to grow and develop intellectually, to have more peaceful thoughts, to reduce anxiety. Could be another air-oriented intention. So we're going to use our breath again, but this time, instead of releasing through the earth, we're going to call in these energies through the upper dimensional gateways. So we're going to start with our water intention, and that is right here. So I want you to think about everything that water governs: nurturing, love, prosperity, emotional healing, reconciliation. What is your deepest water element intention? And you can write them down, you can say them out loud. Writing them down is always a good practice. But because I'm teaching you here, I'm not writing mine down, so I'm just sharing them with you and holding them in my heart space. Mine is because I always feel it's possible to take love to a deeper level. I really want to focus, because I'm releasing fear this year, I really want to focus on love more, on deepening my connection to unconditional and universal love is my intention. To feel it, to embody it, to focus on it. I guess I'd put it this way: I want to feed love more this year than I want to feed fear. So my intention is to feed love, to fertilize it, to cook it a nice meal, to tuck it in at night. So allowing flow, prosperity, really allowing love into your life. It's right. And 1,000% Kathy. This class is recorded and it's yours forever. So if you want to watch it later, if you have to take a break and come back, you can always do that. Aw, thank you. And I want to feed love in my bones. That's beautiful too, from Jacqueline. Reciprocity in her relationships and love. Wasn't that beautiful? Nurture love. And healing of all kinds is water element, right? And you can even, your intention can be perfect health. Remember that the water element allows us to heal by teaching ourselves to open and receive health, to receive vibrancy, to receive love, to receive strength, to receive truth, all these things. So we're going to inhale, and on the exhale, we're going to call your intention in from above. So on the inhale, I want you to really connect to the energy stream. Feeding love, feeding love, feeding love, and on the exhale, calling that energy stream in. And then placing it, you place it over your heart, wherever you want to feel that connection with the emotion and the energy that you're calling in, right? And it gives you such a powerful visual, doesn't it? Now that you're thinking about the star and you're thinking about the 5 points and you're thinking about where that energy is coming from and where it's going, and how the 3 points up here connect you to the upper realms and the 2 bottom points connect you to the lower realms. It's really an anchoring device. It's its own kind of technology, right? Love, 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 love. That's beautiful. Oz said, simply allow love to flow in and to flow out, right? So I like that. Now, what is we have 2 left to go tonight. What is your spirit intention? I want to replace fear with faith. I want to just trust. In all the places that I felt like in 2020, it was hard to do that. Because I know better, right? I mean, I know fear doesn't win, right? But there still were moments where I'm like, is everything going to be okay, right? So trusting the higher plan, ascension, trusting your purpose, your path, filtering reactions. That's beautiful too from Erin. Who am I? Learning to love who you are, right? Being more present. Speaking to your higher self daily. Yeah, trusting 1000%. You ready? So, I am replacing fear with faith. So on the inhale, replacing fear with that really deepest sense of faith and trust, and calling that energy in from above. Feeling connected to that energy stream and anchoring it right down from my crown through all of these chakras through to my base, right? Anchoring it right down through that central line. That's good. Lead with love, that's right. It's so good. That was the last class I taught in university, was called Love and Leadership. At some point I will write that book. Someday I will finish it. We actually started that book already, so there's a draft of it, but I just have never finished it. Trust, trust, trust. And now the last of our elemental intentions up here is air. And remembering that air governs thought, clarity, reason, logic, spaciousness, right? Room to breathe. Governs hope, the element of air. Optimism. I would even say emotions like joy, you know? Laughter, happiness are very air element. There's a lot of creativity in the air element too, right? That's true, right, Joan? She's like, I'm always going to look at stars differently now. It's really true. And I'm glad to hear that, because it's magic. Stars are magic. It'll become one of your favorite things. Okay. So let's do that inhale, exhale, right, where we really crystallize what it is. So for me, it's... I think it's spaciousness is my intention in the East with air. Feeling like there's room to think, room to breathe. Because again, fear kind of locks you down and locks you in and makes you feel like you can't, you know? So I want to feel really expansive and spacious in 2021. Like there's just room to run, room to grow, room to breathe. So room, I guess I want room. It's a good one, isn't it? With the air element. So, and laughter is so good too. But if I have room, I can laugh. If I don't have room, I can't see the humor, right? Okay, you ready? We're calling in room, and just feeling these energies come down from above. Your faith, your space, your flow, your love. Almost just like feeling them come in like little stars, or feeling them drop on you like rain. And there's space now for all of these energies, because you've released through the bottom feet what was clogging up the space before, right? What was taking up precious real estate in your spirit that wasn't allowing these other vibrations, these other frequencies to grow. They can't take root if they don't have any soil. And then what we're talking about now with these upper intentions is kind of it's the fertilizer, it's the soil that can really empower all of these other energies to grow. Ease is definitely, I love that too for the East. Thank you for that, Shanna. Woo! Marissa says, I'm a channel for positive energy to share. I love it. I'm going to pull my little energy card right up next to yours. Isn't that beautiful? And then again, if you just want to, you know, the integration of this journey is to sit with the piece on you. And it's ideal if you can actually just have it on your skin. Like go in a room after this, take all your clothes off and place this star on your chakras, right? And just really, again, release and call in, release and call in, release and call in, recognizing that, again, this represents the reign of spirit over matter, that there's nothing in the physical world that spirit can't transform or transcend. And that faith, I think, ultimately is what guides us through all of our most challenging moments, right? It does kind of declutter the mind too. And that is also a really beautiful intention as well. I feel better, and I'll tell you something, that weird kind of ache I had back here is gone. So I'm telling you, when you do energy work, sometimes you have to take a note before you start, like, how am I feeling? I got a little tension in my shoulder. How do I feel afterward? And notice how just doing the work of releasing, calling in, the deeper breathing, and I'm going to close our circle since we're done. So thanking those guides and guardians for just quickly being present to us while we released and allowed those energies to flow through. And I love it. Angel feels sparkly. That's honestly the best thing I've heard all day. So yeah, so bronzite, one more time, is a member of the enstatite family. Bronzite is found all over the world, by the way. These particular pieces were carved in India, and by my favorite carver, and I think that he did a magnificent job. So bronzite is a stone of releasing with grace what no longer serves you. It's a very important stone. Some people talk about it for anger management too. There's a lot of people actually in the crystal healing community who recommend the stone for people who are angry. But I think part of the reason why it's both a releasing stone and a stone for anger is anger has to be managed. Anger has to be released. And when you release anger, you've got to have, anger is such a strong emotion that you have to have a different energy stream to balance it out once you release it. Remember, if you learn nothing else from me all year, when you release something, you have to call in something else to take its place. The universe abhors a vacuum. So when you release something, always at the same time declare what's replacing it. So tonight I released fear and I released separation, but in its place I was calling in love and all of these other spaciousness. So it's always important when you release to always call in what it is that you want to replace it with. Yes, you're so welcome. One of my favorite stories about bronzite is I had a terrible breakup before I met Dave, and it was just really sad, and it was mutual, but I didn't want to end the relationship, and it was a long time before Dave, actually, probably like 7 or 8 years before him, and I decided to do a releasing ceremony. And I remember taking the bronzite stone. I had just a small tumbled, you don't have to have much. And I sat with that stone and I cried into that stone. I let my tears fall on it. I imagined all of the times and the places and the experiences. I expressed my gratitude. I expressed my sorrow, and I buried it in the earth. And when you're doing a ceremony like that, you always want to open the earth with your hands and close the earth with your hands. Like, you don't use a shovel for things like that. In fact, I was always taught that you open the earth with your right hand clockwise and close the earth with your left hand counterclockwise. I think you can do it however you prefer. But that was still, to this day, I can remember that ceremony and feeling like there was something complete afterward. You know, like, I had said my piece, I had expressed my gratitude, and I left the energy where probably to this day that stone is still buried right where I left it, right? So, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you guys enjoyed the class. Well, this was Crystal Masters for January. Your hands are hot, I like it. Hot hands are a sign of a good class. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I loved being with you too. Thank you so much for being part of Crystal Masters and being part of our community. Alexis and I just cherish you so much. I do recommend clearing your stones, and the best way to clear your stones, I wouldn't clear this one right now. I don't think you need to. But once a month or so, I do like to clear my stones. And you can do a collective clearing of your stones by playing your singing bowls or your tuning forks and applying your tuning fork to your crystals. You can burn some white sage and use the smoke of the white sage to clear it. And literally, that's just as easy. It doesn't take much either. Or Palo Santo or Copal, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be white sage. White sage is just really naturally skilled at releasing dense energy. And so just running the smoke over your stone, that's all you have to do. Doesn't it look beautiful when the smoke comes through the, can you see that? Isn't that pretty? It just does this dance through the points of the star. So, and if you're going to clear your stones, always clear your hands too. Your hands do a lot of important work for you, and it's important to keep their frequency clear as much as possible. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed class. Truly, truly, it's such a pleasure to teach you. I've never been more excited about teaching than I am about this year. And I literally look forward to the minute we get to start, and I'm sad when class is over. Like, I can't believe I won't see you again until our live readings. So, this is one part of Soul Shift. You can always, and I won't tell you this every time, but some of you are new. If you want class every week, you can always go into your account and change to Soul Shift, which meets every Wednesday from 4 to 6. So next week we have our journey, which is session 3, and then we're going to be doing crafting of our family tree at session 4. And you're not that far behind. So, and that's, you can manage all of that in your account on sagegoddess.com. Vice versa too. If you ever feel like Soul Shift is too much, you can change your membership to be just Crystal Masters. And then just, you'll do the once monthly class. So it's very, very easy. If you want more alchemy, more shadow work, more all of that, that's Soul Shift. If you're happy with your crystal healing training and you want to focus there, then you are in the right place and you need to do nothing. So, thanks, you guys. I'm so glad. So, I know, I actually really will miss you, but I'll be in your Facebook group. And if you have any questions after tonight, that's the place to go. Alexis and I are in your Facebook group Monday to Friday, answering your questions and checking in. And so, the stones that I mentioned tonight from the Life Paths, there's a link. So your discount code is number 20, I think. Alexis? Is it number 20? NUMBER 20, I think is your code. You know how bad I am at codes. Like, it is, that's not my gift. I think it's number 20. I think it's a one-time code. Alexis will have to clarify for us. I don't want to misspeak. But I'm pretty sure it's a one-time code and it's 20% off, and you can use it on your Life Path stones if there's any for your life path that you don't have. And like I said, you might want to look at your collection. You probably have most of them. Yeah, so number 20, NUMBER 20 is your code for tonight for 20% off sagegoddess.com if there's anything you're looking for. And the links are in your Facebook group and in your classroom page on sagegoddess.com. And I think she's done it all by the Life Path number, right? So Life Path 1 and then the links, and Life Path 2 and then the links. Oh, it expires at midnight. Really? Tonight? Oh no, she retracted that, sorry. I don't think it expires tonight. That's right. If you have questions about past classes, you can certainly, anything, with your Soul Shift coaching questions, you can ask me anything. Truly. So you can ask me anything about anything. Yeah. Oh, it expires Thursday at midnight, so you have until tomorrow at midnight. That's good. That makes more sense. Yeah. And the stones are there now in your Facebook group and also on the website. I don't think we have any more bronzite stars, unfortunately. I know. If you guys really decide you want them, they took about 3 months to have carved. So we'd have to, it wouldn't be soon, you know, soon. I don't know if we have any other stars that are carved. You might be able to find, you know what though? You might be able to find one on Etsy or something that you like. Sometimes it's nice to give one another little shop, you know, the blessing of your shopping too. So I know, Rita, I know. She was saying she wishes the classes were in person. I used to do in-person classes and events when we had our showroom, and hopefully we'll get back to that at some point here. Just seems like a million miles away, doesn't it? So, all right, you guys. Yeah, selenite is self-clearing. That's right. Black kyanite, self-clearing. So those are tools you don't really need to clear. That's exactly right. The rest of them, they need a clearing every once in a while, just as a courtesy, right? Oh yeah, Trellite stars. Trellite stars would be super fun for this. You guys are so creative. I know. All right. Well, thank you for being here. It was a pleasure to be with you guys, and I will look forward to seeing you very, very soon. I'll be popping around your Facebook group tomorrow. And the tarot deck that I recommend is the Rider-Waite. That is this deck that I was teaching you from tonight. I taught the Thoth deck at the new moon, and I do like it, but day to day, because I pull tarot cards for myself every day, just to stay in the groove and keep my knowledge fresh. I always pull. This is my original Rider-Waite deck from when I was 18. Yeah, it's been in this box the whole time. So this is a well-loved deck. This one's been around the block with me many, many years. So enjoy. And Rider-Waite's easy to find. You can find them on Amazon. But I do recommend learning from the Rider-Waite deck. It's the easiest. If you ever take my online classes in tarot, those are on the website. It's based on the Rider-Waite deck. So you'll have the deck that you need if you ever take those classes too. I do. I smudge my deck. I do. Yeah, and we will check on the Facebook group requests probably in the morning, because Alexis has been working since 9:30, so I do want her to get a break, but we'll check the Facebook group requests in the morning for you for sure. Yeah, Rider-Waite is spelled RIDER-WAITE. So it's rider like ride a horse, not writer like write a book. I'm glad. Mwah. My pleasure to be here with you guys. I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great rest of your night. Thank